Focus. President Ramaphosa used his closing address at the Limpopo elective conference to clear his name around allegations of corruption leveled against him. Last week, former State Security Agency head Fraser opened a criminal case against Ramaphosa, claiming that he had concealed a criminal incident. This said incident relates to a robbery on his Parapara farm in Limpopo, where a sum of money has been rather stolen. According to the former spy boss affidavit, the suspects were kidnapped, interrogated and paid off to keep silent. Ramaphosa says he hasn't done anything wrong.
Let me end, comrades, by addressing the matter that has been in the news this week, in social media and so forth. I acknowledge that there is much public interest and concern about claims that have been made in a criminal complaint against me. I remain fully focused on the tasks that I have been given by the people of our country. And I want to reaffirm that I was not involved in any criminal conduct, and once again I pledge my full cooperation with any form of investigation.
While Ramaphosa says he cannot comment more on the incident due to the ongoing investigation, he says there was no wrongdoing on his part.
Now, due to the investigation, I will not really be able to engage deeply or further on this matter, as it should allow the due process to take place. However, I would like to say that I'm a farmer. I'm in the cattle business and the game business. And through that business, which has been declared in Parliament and all over, I buy and I sell animals.
Amabhungane's managing partner Sam Saul joins us now live to share his perspective on the implication of what happened and how it will affect the president. Sam, good evening and thank you very much for your time. Read a bit of your article. You start by saying that the information at your disposal points to a major cover-up. What are the features of this robbery that point to a cover-up?
Look, I think when we wrote that article, we didn't have the benefit of having access to Arthur Fraser's affidavit, only his statement. But what we did have was information from our Namibian colleagues and some of our own investigations locally, which pointed very strongly to the fact that there was an attempt to hush up this theft for unexplained reasons. What we do know is that there were a number of Namibian-born nationals involved in the theft, and quite early on in February 2020, when the theft took place, we've seen evidence that the Namibian authorities picked up on bank transfers that particularly three individuals, one of whom we name in the article, but three individuals made between their South African accounts and Namibian accounts. And those transfers totaled about 6 million Namibian dollars, so roughly 6 million rand, which is less than, obviously, than $4 million, but $4 million US dollars, which is the sum that's been spoken of. But there's no suggestion that all the money that was stolen was processed in this way. So the Namibians picked up on this for their own, whatever own reasons. They thought these transfers were suspicious. And then in June 2020, one of the people suspected of being involved in this matter crossed the border into Namibia illegally, and he was arrested a day or two later by the Namibian authorities. And at that stage, our Namibian colleagues, newspaper on the Namibian, picked up information from government sources that connected this man and his arrest to a theft at President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm. They also got pushback, or they were told that the South Africans were not interested, that there were back-channel communications from South African intelligence sources, more or less asking the Namibians to keep this quiet. So that independent information is now, in a sense, corroborated by what we see in Arthur Fraser's affidavit, which suggests something along similar lines. Yeah. We also spoke to somebody who was in contact with one of the suspects and knew some of the people involved, who also independently corroborated some of the claims that people who worked at the farm were interrogated, held against their will, etc. So there was an investigation, but then that disappeared, and the president and the police, certainly the head of the Presidential Protection Unit, need to explain why this theft was treated in that way.
Is that the only arm of government that's involved in this cover-up, or there's more?
Look, it's not clear. For instance, we had sight of a Namibian police report that suggests the one person that we named by the name of Emanuela David was assisted in fleeing South Africa and getting across the border to Namibia by an intelligence operative from Durban. He's named as Papa J. We don't know who Papa J is, but the evidence that Mr. Fraser has provided suggests that there was quite an extensive and high-level investigation of this theft, but it seems it was kept off the books. And again, the president and the security establishment are going to have to explain on what basis that was done.
Yeah. To your knowledge, the Namibian government, are they still pursuing the arrest of those two individuals who were trying to make their way over the border?
There are two individuals who are still, in fact, on trial. Their trial resumes tomorrow, who are accused of crimes in relation to the Namibian Immigration Act for assisting Mr. Emanuela David to cross the border and get to Windhoek. So this matter is not over. We also know that in 2020, the Namibian authorities directed a formal request for mutual legal assistance in relation to three suspects, and those three suspects are among the people named in Mr. Fraser's affidavit. They directed a formal request for legal assistance to the South African authorities, and never received, as far as we were aware, never received any response from that. So again, it suggests, there may be other explanations, but again, it suggests the matter was shut down, closed off. There was no cooperation, and there has to be an explanation as to why.
I suppose an important individual here, in terms of the facts of what actually took place, somebody who would have intimate knowledge, is the head of the Presidential Police Protection Unit. What is the link of General Walter Wally Ruda and the former head of SSA, Arthur Fraser?
Look, that is something that we'd like to know about as well, because there have been allegations, and they are not proved, but they came from a particularly well-placed source, that in the past Mr. Ruda had been some kind of agent for the SSA or for one of its covert structures, etc. And that this may have been during the time that he was working for President Ramaphosa during the CR17 campaign before he was elected ANC president. So we don't know. We reached out to General Ruda on a couple of occasions, and his position was that he was precluded by police rules and regulations from responding to us, speaking to the media. So we don't know what his version is. We haven't heard. He hasn't put his version down. I think it's significant that Mr. Fraser laid charges against General Ruda as well in relation to this matter. So hopefully we're going to, in due course, get General Ruda's version of what happened, but also perhaps of his relationship with Arthur Fraser, or perhaps people around General Ruda. In Arthur Fraser's affidavit, he refers to getting basically all of the material that he put in his statement, or that he based his statement on, from somebody in General Ruda's team. So this raises serious questions about the people around the president. Never mind the president himself and his judgment and what he did and what he knew at the time and afterwards.
Yeah. The allegations of interrogation, maybe the police being a little bit heavy-handed, you're saying there is some kind of, well, I suppose, testimony that you're getting around that. What about the bribery, the 150,000 rands that was paid to some to keep quiet?
Look, that we have no information about at all. That's obviously contained in Mr. Fraser's information, his affidavit. So we don't know about those claims. We don't know what evidence there is as to who was paid and so on. It doesn't seem to us that, for instance, the people who were working at the farm who were implicated are still there, but we're not sure about that either. So those are all questions. The evidence will have to be looked at, and those are questions that need to be answered.
Yeah. Did the president break the law? I mean, from what you see.
Look, I think the president was out. We don't know enough at all to make any call about that. The president was out of the country at the time this happened. It seems unlikely that he counts the cash that is occasionally comes in relation to his business himself, at his dining room table. So we don't know what the president knew. We don't know the status of the cash. There's been claims that it was, hidden in a couch or in furniture, etc. That seems quite strange. But stranger things have, happened. I don't know what the normal procedure is. But obviously, the whole question of the cash and its management, there are laws around that, will have to be explained, and the president will have to also explain, what he knew or didn't know if it is in fact found there was a problem with how the cash was managed. But I think the issue or the indications of a cover-up are much more serious and concerning, because it seems very clear that this matter was not handled, according to strict protocol. I listened to the president's spokesperson saying that no case was registered after General Ruda had investigated. General Ruda investigated, and then the matter was considered closed. Now, that seems a very strange position to take if nobody was arrested, nobody was prosecuted, etc. It's not as if this was a misunderstanding where, somebody picked up my cell phone by mistake and then, it was returned. This was very clearly a heist. So it's not clear on what basis this could be sorted out in some kind of private way. It's not clear what the president, when the president found, these are questions that we sent to the presidency before we published. It's not clear when he found out about it, when General Ruda was informed, what the president knew about General Ruda's subsequent investigation and actions, the alleged holding and interrogation of people, without proper police procedures being followed if they weren't. So it all there's a lot of questions, but I think we have to admit that they are serious questions and that they need answers.
Serious questions indeed that need answers. Sam, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. Managing Director at Amabhungane, that is Managing Partner, at Amabhungane, that is Sam.